If you've just joined us, it is 18 minutes after 11 p.m. Central African time. A blessed and beautiful one to you and yours. This is African Diaries, Shailen Dikumana, and it's time for us to get into our conversation. Now, we did promise you something to the effect of psychology, but let's take a different turn. Let's take a bit of a twist and look at an even more interesting aspect of parenting. Now, parenting today comes with new challenges, balancing work, family, and the emotional needs of children in a fast-paced modern world. Across Africa, we are seeing trends that bring an extra help, blending professional healthcare with education support, giving parents peace of mind while ensuring that children thrive. Now, one of the leaders in this space is Au Pair Extraordinaire, a trusted service provider known for matching families with exceptional au pairs with dignity and expertise at its core. The heart of this work is, of course, going to be delved into with Ashleigh Leith. With a background in psychology and a passion for child development, Ashleigh not only experienced life as an au pair herself, but now manages and empowers the team that ensures the right fit between families and caregivers. She joins us to unpack what it takes to piece together such a program and, of course, make it ever so brilliant that would bring parents back to, of course, sorting after her services, but also the reality that there is a complexity when it comes to parenting. And so the right individual needs to be paired with the right family. Ashleigh, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Welcome to African Diaries.
Hi, Shayla. Thanks so much for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity.
Let's look at au pair support in the context of the African continent. I know that there are countries such as South Africa that you would see more people desiring of this kind of service offering. But I just want to gauge, how are people receiving this kind of service?
So it's being received really well. Like au pairing in our country, it was, for a long time it was more seen like in the overseas countries, but in our countries it is becoming quite something that families are needing. We are seeing that, you know, families, in the state and age, whether they choose to work full time or they have to work full time, both parents are having to go into the work space full time, and they are needing that extra care, that extra set of hands to assist, with the well-being and the safety and the childcare, to look after their children. It is a massively growing industry in South Africa. Au pairs are not just doing it as a stepping stone anymore. It is becoming an actual career path where we have, people doing it from the age of 18 up until 65 at this time. So it is being received really well. It is becoming, not so much of a luxury, but a necessity these days.
Ashleigh, forgive me, right? I'm going to dial the conversation down. For somebody who's listening and is saying, what's the difference between an au pair, somebody who is a nanny, a tutor? Explain to me, Shayla, because it sounds like one individual. However, it isn't, is it?
No, not at all. So basically, I'm not sure, for those who don't know, au pair comes from a French word called on par, which means equal. Now, don't get me wrong, an au pair is not equal to a mom or dad. Mom and dad are always going to be mom and dad. But an au pair steps in to assist, and be an extra pair of hands when mom and dad can't be available. So they will assist with everything from collecting from school, taking to extramurals and appointments, assisting with homework, exam preparation, projects, assignments, unpacking and packing school bags, school lunches. They'll do running of family errands, grocery shopping, facilitating play dates, babysitting when parents have to go to work functions, etc. They really do take on, that extra, or provide that extra pair of hands to the families. Now, the difference between an au pair, they generally are geared more towards the school-age child, where a nanny comes in. A nanny is a phenomenal caregiver to younger children, so newborns, babies, toddlers, that kind of thing. They are full of patience and nurturing, and they really get down and onto the floor and to, like, at that eye level with babies, making sure they reach their age-appropriate milestones. They stimulate them. They give them so much love and attention. What's nannies offer where au pairs don't. Nannies provide, the extra service of doing light housework around the home. While baby is sleeping, they're happy to do, a load of laundry. They're happy to clean up the living area. They are happy to, do some folding of clothing and putting away and ironing, as long as, when baby's awake, that's still their main focus is on the childcare, but they're also able to give, that extra service of just doing a little bit of light housework as well. Unfortunately, not all nannies come with, a car or a valid driver's license, so they aren't able to do, what the au pair does in terms of driving the children around. So, they would just be more home-based caregivers. And then we go into another aspect of like tutors. Tutors are generally more like focused on academics only. They'll come into your home, and they'll focus on homework assistance, exam and test preparation. They'll set up mock exams during exam time. They'll even help you set up a study kind of schedule, etc. So their sole focus is based on academics only. They won't really assist with, driving around and doing those other kinds of childcare duties.
And Ashleigh, in your role as an au pair yourself, what did you
Mhm.
learn that families didn't necessarily know about your function in the homestead? What's the common thread that you notice that actually families don't realize that I do offer this as well in the function of an au pair?
I think for me, it must have been the an additional emotional older sister figure that I played. So yes, we come in and do what mom and dad does, but we like to consider ourselves as au pairs as an older sister or brother figure, because it's not only focused on females, but they come in and they provide an extra safe space, an extra person that the children can confide in. It's really another emotional safe place that children, in the school environments, they aren't always provided that one-on-one emotional kind of just bonding with an additional person.
Ashleigh, does this then result in you becoming part of the family? I'm curious now,
One hundred
right?
percent,
Oh,
one
okay.
hundred
Tell
percent,
us more.
definitely. So we always encourage our au pairs, and as myself, I still keep in contact with families. I was looking after their kids back in 2008. So you do become part of the family. You become, someone that they rely on. You literally, their birthdays, their favorite things, their favorite food. Sometimes the parents will be like, what are they into for their birthday? I need to buy them a birthday present. And we are such an integral part of, that child's life. We know the ins and outs of everything. So we 100% become a part of the family. And that is what is so important about placing the right person who is going to want to learn about your child, who's going to want to, put in that extra time and effort to get to know your child's, like, this is not just a job. This is a passion for sure.
Let's talk about myths, right? With
Mhm.
every job, there are myths attached, misconceptions. What are some that still exist today?
Biggest one is that, au pairing is easy. It is definitely not. Looking after children
Yeah.
is it's hard work and it's important work. You have a big part to play in that child's life. So anyone who thinks it's easy money or it's easy work, you can quickly do it, while you're studying or as a part-time job, and you're just going to go in, do a few lifts and help with homework and then go off. You become so emotionally invested in the whole family, and especially the children. That is definitely a myth. The other one is that au pairing is, just a stepping stone between, maybe like finding out where you want to go between school and, your tertiary studies. The au pairing is becoming a career these days. Families are needing them so desperately, for lack of a better word, that, there are au pairs who are making a living out of this all the way into their late 60s.
You did mention that, Ashley. You did mention that there are some people who are working at age 65, if you will. What are some of the trends that you're noticing in the demand for an au pair today? And this, of course, comparing and contrasting to maybe, let's say, 10 years ago?
Hmm. Like I said, a lot more because both mom and dad are in the workforce. And it's like I said, it's not a luxury anymore. A luxury was like mom, just needed a little bit of free time to get a few things done. Now it's a necessity to be able to provide their child with a some sort of structure and where they're not having to spend their full day at school. And they come home and they can still, have that home life, even though mom and dad aren't there. So yeah, 10 years ago, you would look, it was like the 18 to 21-year-old was the au pair age. Now, like I said, anywhere between 18 to 65, we have retired teachers coming in and au pairing just because it's their full on passion. And they are wanting to do this as well. So there is no more limits to what au pairing has to offer.
Wow. The voice there of Ashleigh Leith joining us this evening, part and parcel of the team at Au Pair Extraordinaire. It is 29 minutes after 11 p.m. Central African time. When we get back, we chat all things Au Pair Extraordinaire. I see that's rhyming there and catching my tongue. So I'm going to try and resuscitate this tongue of mine as we take an ad break. If you've just joined us, welcome to it. We are in the world of parenting and parenting trends this beautiful Thursday. This year's 2nd of October. I was today years old when I learned that it's also October for some people. That's besides the point. Big shout out has to go out to the On the Move team for covering that. It's time for us to get back into our conversation looking at au pairs. And we're going to be looking at Au Pair Extraordinaire. And of course, Ashleigh Leith representing the team this evening. Ashleigh, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Lovely stuff. Let's talk about what Au Pair Extraordinaire offers. I mean, you sort of touched on it to say that yours is to make sure that there's a perfect pair between the individual who provide the service and the family at hand. What's the criteria? What's the process for collaborating the two?
Sure. So, Au Pair Extraordinaire is one of the leading childcare recruitment agencies in South Africa. So basically, we place candidates with families according to the family's specific needs and requirements. So we will place candidates such as au pairs, as I spoke about earlier, au pairs, nannies, tutors, homeschool teachers, facilitators, babysitters, drivers, or anything childcare related, we are willing and able to assist with. So we basically facilitate the whole process. A family will reach out to us and we will, get their job spec and start to advertise to our database. Our database is the candidates that we have pre-vetted. We obviously source for the candidates, vet them, check references, make sure that they are, able to do the job that we are needing of them. We will then, set up send CVs to the families, set up the interviews. We'll facilitate the offer stage and negotiate salaries, etc. We guide, in terms of everything, especially when it comes to the template of the employment contract, and then we also finalize, the employment in terms of assisting families with setting up UIF and PAYE. We guide them on that. We guide our candidates, in learning how to charge for petrol reimbursements, that kind of thing. And then once employment has commenced, we will then even do check-ins just to make sure that the family and the candidates are meshing well. There are always teething pains initially, and the children having to get used to the candidate. So we guide and provide advice. And to be honest, throughout the whole employment duration, we are always, available for guidance and advice to both au pairs and the families.
Your agency does emphasize trust and integrity. How do you build that into the matching process? And I'm saying this because these are individuals who you screen and don't necessarily know. And so it's very important and critical for you to be able to define how trust can be established and how and what proves them to be integrous people.
Of course, 100%. We are not, unaware of the impact of having someone in your home and with your most prized possession, your children. So we take this very, very seriously. So what we do, we basically have personal investigators in our candidate manager department. And when we are sourcing and vetting candidates, we have to, as an agency, we have one of the strictest minimum requirements in order to join our agency in the industry. They at least have to have 12 months formal childcare experience with contactable references. If we cannot reach a reference, unfortunately, we cannot assist you. It is very important that we get a good sense of how you work, how you fulfill your duties, what kind of person you are in a family home, and stuff like that. This is not just going into an office. This is going into someone's life, into their personal space. So we do not take it lightly. We do all the checks. We do background checks, criminal checks, credit checks, social checks. These are all things that we offer, as well as doing in-person, online interviews face to face with these candidates. We check their references this is very important for the reference part, because it's the biggest telltale sign of how they actually work with other families as well. And our our name has been built over the last 17 years, and just through consistent, placing really good au pairs and doing the background work. And like I said, this is not just a job, this is a passion for us. And we, as moms ourselves, we are very aware of the impact of this person being in your home, so we take it very seriously.
I must, and I suppose we are coming to the tail end of our conversation, right? I must highlight the importance of affordability, because when you say
Mm-hmm.
au pair, immediately that sounds like an arm, a leg, a thigh, and your kidney is going to come at that cost. Is it that pricey?
So we try and match, the candidate within a family's budget. Obviously, depending on their needs and their requirements, we obviously also need to be able to make sure that the salary that is being paid to the candidate is something that they are able to, live off. It has to be a livable wage. So it's a fine line of balancing, what the family's budget is and what the candidate needs to earn and what their worth is. So also, it's hard. It's a tricky question because, like, what is the cost that you're willing to put in your child's development,
Yeah.
safety and stuff like that. So yes, it does come at a price. It's not, the very high prices that everyone thinks of. Yes, you can get those candidates if you are looking for, teaching experience and overseas experience and qualifications and experience and 15 years experience, that kind of thing. They do come at high prices, but they are affordable, very capable candidates that we can match with families who, are just looking for that extra pair of hands. And we always try and encourage our clients to look at it as more of an investment than an expense, because down the line, they are going to get their money's worth for both their family and their children.
And then finally, for families who are listening right now, what's the easiest way
Mm-hmm.
for them to get in touch with Au Pair Extraordinaire?
Oh, fantastic. We'd love them to reach out. So we do have a phenomenal website where they can reach us at www.allpair, one word, dash extraordinaire.co.za. That will also guide you on like our T's and C's and how our process works. There'll be a link for families and a link for all pairs. You can reach out that way. If you're looking for something a little bit more direct, we love to speak to both all pairs and the clients over a phone call, because it gives us a better sense of what they're really looking for, and they can give us a call on that number 011 700 3820. And then they can also reach out on social media if they want. We are on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. They can see we love to put out a few like, tips and guides, lines there, and a few things for both families and candidates to have a look at.
Ashleigh, thank you so much for making the time for us this evening. We appreciate your presence on the show.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
The voice there of Ashleigh Leith joining us this evening, representing Au Pair Extraordinaire. We spoke about the realities of an au pair, how they function in the homestead, who they are essentially, and what service they provide. And then we looked at Au Pair Extraordinaire. It is 19 minutes before the show comes to an end. Let's get some music.